Do you think his attitude and you can even say Virgil van Dijk's attitude, especially against like United, is that taking Liverpool out of the title fight? Because like I feel like going into the season, like we all know City's gonna win, but it was like, oh, Liverpool could do something. But I mean, since the beginning of the season, that hasn't been a topic anymore. It's been Arsenal. I feel the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think their defense, like their lack of attitude in the back, their I don't know idea that they're the best because they were at one point more the best, is that like stopping them?
I mean, I think definitely right now the attitude of Van Dijk and Trent have especially been poor, and I definitely think that has hurt them. And to say the title contenders, I think most people would agree that's not the case anymore. But I do think these players are good enough to get the wake up call they need to get it back together. I think we will see them get back in form and start doing well together. But is it too late to catch up to City? Maybe, but it's a long season. It's a long season. I don't really want to start saying they're gone.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I feel like for the backline of Liverpool, like they're complacent in terms of the fact that like they know if they play bad, they're not going to get replaced, because like who can you replace them with? So like if they mess up, they're like, whatever, because they have no competition. If they had competition, like constant competition, then they're like, okay, then I got to actually play to the best of my ability to keep the spot. But like they're like, if I play bad, whatever. I'm still getting paid all this money. Doesn't really matter. I'm still the big superstar in Liverpool. And what was the second question to that?
Like, is their complacency affecting their chances of like?
Title. I feel like City on the way they're playing, specifically Holland. I think they're just too far gone in the league. I think the closest bet's Arsenal. But once again, my prediction on Arsenal is they're going to slide towards the end of the season. Midway, they're going to start sliding. So I think City is going to have it in the bag. But once again, every team in a Premier League season has a great run, and then they start sliding. In terms of they lose games they should be winning, like every team, that happens to every single team. West Ham, Spurs, Chelsea. Yeah. So it's bound to happen. So like that might affect them, but it's such a long season. You can't say like, oh, Man City already have it in the bag. But like it's possible, because if you look at Chelsea, like last season, they had a humongous gap between first place and second place, and then they kind of started losing games, and then City crawled back into it, Liverpool crawled back into it. So I think it's too early to say, but I mean City look like the favorites at the moment. And I feel like Liverpool could finish third now. I mean, I don't know if they have enough, not willpower, I would say, willpower to do it, but also just I feel like they just haven't been playing good, and they don't have the options in terms of like change it around in terms of players, because their bench is so small. So I don't know. I think they'll finish third, fourth, because it is Liverpool. So. But I feel like their complacency is their biggest issue in the back.
I agree with complacency. I think also we're forgetting, like, Salah has not been in form.
They lost Mane.
First of all, no one's talking about Salah. Can we just be honest? I haven't heard a single discussion about Salah for good reason. I mean, the other problems have been more blatant, but Salah has not been that great. We're being 100% real. He hasn't been at the standard we expect of him, which, to be fair, it's a high standard because he's a great player, but he hasn't been at the standard we expect of him. And he has no help from anybody else in the front line. I take that back. Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz has been...
Yeah. Well, Darwin Nunez has been terrible.
Yeah. I think...
can you blame him, though? Because I feel like he was overrated in the sense, like, overhyped.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean,
because
you're coming in with 80 million. You're coming in with an 80 million price tag. Like that's for me is the pressure, I guess. But yeah, like it was. Oh, who's gonna be better, Darwin Nunez versus Holland?
But like that's so ridiculous because they come from two separate leagues, so it's like you can't compare those two. And like Holland's like known, that was already proven in terms of like big stages, like Champions League, like single-handedly carried Dortmund all the way to the competition that they did. I think it was the quarterfinals they reached last season. So it was like, can't read. I honestly, when I saw it, like the comparisons, I was like, you can't compare the two because they're completely different players.
Yeah.
And came from completely different backgrounds, so you can't compare the two. But yeah, I feel like Liverpool at the moment's stuck. I mean, Salah's not playing great, but neither you could say the same thing about like how he hasn't hit the ground running how many people thought he would because of all the new signings like Diaz, like would help him out, but they haven't in terms of help his production. And he hasn't hit the ground running. I'm sure he will later down the road. I mean, Son this weekend, you could say the same thing about him, like top goal scorer in the Prem last season, and then didn't hit the ground running until this weekend, scored a hat trick. So it's like, you can't say it's too early to say it. Like if we're halfway through the season, then we're like, and Salah's still doing the same stuff. Then we're like, okay, he's not having a good season whatsoever to his standards. But still, we're still only week 8, week 9 in, so I can't say too much.
And if we learn anything from watching the Premier League, it's that it's a long season. A lot of things can happen.
Yeah.
And so I think to say a player is not doing well, it just means they haven't started well. But I don't think, like Andres was saying, I don't think we can say they're having a bad season yet. It's still so early.